basically got all the filler on the roof. The trunk is all primed up, nice and flat and level. Obviously, we won't really jump and refilled it and sanded down and refilled it and sanded down and refilled it. And there's been some high spots. We had to use body hammers that's our last spot of filler work we had to do. Super flat, obviously, you know, with a flat paint on it, it's not going to look nice. Is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Got a little bit of explaining to do. So the last video you guys saw was me working on the E36, and basically what we were doing in that video was, you know, doing some of the body work, finishing some of the body work. And basically, like, what happens is I get so into working on a car, like I get into like the deadline mode where I'm just pumping it out, trying to get things done, and I lack on recording. But the good news is you didn't really miss out on a lot. A lot of the stuff was just like sanding and resanding and painting and resanding and resanding. And so there's really not a lot you missed. You did miss out on one big thing, but it turns out I messed that thing up. So you're gonna be able to see it again. Now, let's talk about why I messed this car up. So, as you'll see, the car is yellow. I know that's going to be a shocker to a lot of people, but if you know me, you'll know that I've been wanting a yellow car, specifically a yellow E36, for the longest time. The minute I bought this car, I saw my opportunity and it got painted yellow. I love yellow. Yellow with white wheels, with the body kit that I ordered for this thing. And yes, I did order a body kit. I ordered it like literally a month ago. Still hasn't even shipped yet to my knowledge, but we'll get into that later. So, painted the car yellow. Old boy here, Zach, decided I'm gonna paint this car single stage. I'm gonna make it nice and simple because the bumpers are gonna get ripped off, the bumpers are gonna get chipped up, you know, this thing's gonna get beat up. I wanna make it easy to respray this car or respray any parts if necessary. So I went with a single stage paint. Also, I decided to go with a sealer. I was like, okay, you know, I've never used sealers before, but I figured, you know, I've heard a lot of good things about sealers. And for those that don't know what a sealer is, it's basically like a primer, but instead of sanding up, you know, a sealer, you just paint directly over it. And it's supposed to be more durable. It seals, you know, bodywork a little better, so on and so forth. So decided to get sealer for the car, all that. So basically I sprayed the car and it came out like really orange peely. The roof is actually one of the better panels. I don't know how well you can see. It's kind of, yeah, you can see right there. This is like actually one of the better sections. I would say the worst of the car was the hood, which you can't see anymore. The front fenders, you can see how bad they are. And the doors aren't too bad either. But basically what happened is, one, I used a really shitty paint gun. My mistake, never again. And two, the place that I ordered my sealer through, which would be TPC Global, I think is what it's called. They didn't send me the one like last mixture for the sealer, and I think it was like a half a quart or something really small is what they're supposed to send me with it. And mind you, I've never really mixed, you know, sealer or really even paint before, so I didn't know any better. I mixed it with what they sent me based off the charts on the back. Well, basically what had happened was I mixed a primer instead of a sealer, because you can do that. A sealer, I think, is just a reduced version of primer, I think. It just lays, supposed to lay a lot smoother so that you can paint directly over it and you don't have that orange peel effect. Well, I sprayed primer on the car. Didn't know I sprayed primer on the car, but I sprayed primer on the car. And with primer, ideally you want to let it dry and then you block sand it flat, because primer typically will spray on with a little bit of an orange peel, depending on the gun you're using, obviously, and your skill level. And I painted directly over it. So the minute I painted the car, you could see the orange peel. And I knew that there was something wrong, but the car was already had its first coat of paint. I mean, what are you gonna do at that point? So, well, I guess at that point I could have just let the car dry, sanded it, but I've never really, you know, painted a car to this degree. So I didn't know any better. I just assumed, you know, this is how it's gonna look on the first coat. It gets better the more I lay coats. So I laid 4 coats of paint on the car, thinking, you know, that gives me plenty of room to wet sand and buff. I can knock a whole coat off of it. It'll be nice and level, nice and flat, and we'll be good to go. So, you know, the time goes by. I waited, painted the doors, the over fenders, and the mirrors separate. As you can tell, the over fenders are, I mean, there's a lot of dust on it right now, but the over fenders turned out amazing. That's probably because they came primered and I sanded them down, or I scuffed them and painted over that. So obviously, you know, the orange peel was from the sealer. The doors turned out decent as well. Had some problems with the gun, won't get into that. But you'll notice the door does not match the front fender, and the over fenders kind of match, not really though, but it's not nearly as noticeable as this door versus this fender. You can see this is very obviously a lighter yellow than the fender. Now, you know, that's an issue in itself. I was hoping, you know, once I buffed it, it would kind of come out and end up being a little more brighter just because it had so much orange peel. So started buffing the car. I started with the hood, the worst part. As I'm, you know, wet sanding, and mind you, there's nothing black under this. There's no dark colors under this yellow. It's literally white, and that's it. There's white sealer, and that's it. That's below this yellow. Now you'll see all these dark spots. Kind of see it. I don't know how well this is picking it up. Yeah, you can kind of see all these dark spots in the paint, right? Well, that is basically from the sealer being so uneven and kind of like building up the paint. So as I'm buffing and wet sanding it, it's taking it down to where like there's like dark spots in the paint somehow. I'm not sure how, but that's the case. So once I saw that, I got kind of bummed out, you know, figured I'll just have to repaint the hood. But then I was like, you know, let me test the front fender. So I lightly wet sanded here, barely even wet sanded it. You can already see dark spots showing up. So at that point, I'm like, okay, if I do the rest of the car like this, it's all gonna look like that. And it looks like crap, plain and simple. So I decided, or I took a couple days off from working on this thing because I was gonna lose my mind. And this is my first day back up here since. And I've decided I'm just gonna repaint the car. I'm going to scuff this yellow down. And since it's already yellow, I won't need as much paint. And I'm gonna actually spray it with a base coat, clear coat with a good gun this time. And I'm never gonna use single stage ever again in my life. It's just a nightmare. I had a friend that does body work for a living actually tell me after I already bought the single stage and was literally about to paint it, he was like, hey, just so you know, single stage might sound like it's easier, but if you were to ever repaint anything, single stage, if you don't use the exact same pressures, the exact same everything, the colors can be different. He was very right about that. And you know, that's just not something I want to mess with. I'd rather do it the right way, spray this thing with a base coat, clear coat, and depending on how long it takes for my body kit to come in, we might just spray this thing with a super bass boat metallic flake too. So, you know, that's the downside. I have no problems admitting when I make a mistake. It is what it is. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way. I can promise you I will never make that mistake again. You know, I have probably $400, $500 in the paint alone, not including obviously all of the work. I built an entire paint booth in here, had an intake and exhaust set up. Like, I tried to do everything the right way, and all it took to ruin the entire paint job was one small mixture and not enough thinking up here. I also painted the door jambs. So the other nice thing about repainting the car is that I don't have to tear the car apart to paint it. Basically, I can just mask off, you know, the door frames, pull the mirrors off, pull the headlights and taillights out, mask off the windows, and spray it as it is. So there won't be a ton of work in dismantling the car to prep it for that paint. So, you know, the whole point in this car was seat time. Don't worry about how it looks. Drive the fucking balls off of it. Destroy it. Like, that's the point. I haven't even learned how to drift yet, and I'm over here trying to build like a show car basically at this point. It's not anything close to that, obviously, but like, I have to focus more on what the original goal with this car was, and that was to learn how to drift and not care about how it looks and not have it sitting around for months at a time because I'm trying to perfect it and all this stuff. So I've made the decision. I'm going to put the car back together as it sits right now. I'm going to put miles on it, get any kinks that need worked out of it, you know, beat the crap out of it, and that way, if it's going to break now, early on in the drift season, and I don't have to worry about figuring out small stupid things in the middle of the drift season after I already rushed to get the car back together after repainting it and all that stuff. So we're gonna put the car together, we're gonna drive it, we're gonna have fun, and hopefully as soon as my kit comes in, we'll just repaint it. You know, that's another kind of point is I'm not repainting this car until my body kit comes in, and I'm also waiting on my trunk lower section over here, which is this guy. There's a piece that basically makes it look seamless so you don't see the back of the over fender, and it'll cover this rust here. That's going to need painted because it's going to get riveted on, so that needs painted. And my body kit is all fiberglass. It needs painted, and that basically covers, you know, the whole rockers, its side skirts, front and rear bumpers. So I want those to match, so I would like to realistically paint all of that stuff at the exact same time. So there's no point in just letting this car sit here, not being anything, and just being a waste of space for a month and a half or who knows how long, because my body kit hasn't even shipped yet. It's been a month and it's coming from the Dominican Republic. Has to go through customs. A lot of shipping stuff's been a nightmare. And so who knows when that'll happen, which is kind of a shocker because I got my over fenders from the same place and they were at my house in like 3 weeks. So, you know, it's a bummer, but it is what it is. Plus, there's a lot of things I need to put in the car. Like I got this super nice switch panel, and there's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. And there's no point, like a lot of the stuff has to wait until the car is painted. So I would rather just drive it how it is. I don't even care, you know what I mean? Who cares? It's I painted it myself. What is someone gonna say? Wow, you suck at painting. Thanks. I didn't know that. I didn't know I sucked at painting, obviously, because my car looks like shit now. So all I have to say is if anyone has anything bad to say about the car, do it yourself. Like, you paint your car yourself and tell me how it turns out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to learn. I don't care that it turned out like shit. Sure, I lost some money, but I gained a lesson of a lifetime. So, you know, it is what it is. You gotta pay to go to school to learn this stuff anyway, so I might as well just pay to waste a couple paint jobs, learn it on my own, and let it be what it be. So with that being said, guys, this is probably gonna be it for this video. I just kind of wanted to get that off my chest, get that out in the open. This is a 14-minute rant. I literally just walked in the shop. That's pretty nuts. I have not ended this, I have not split a clip yet. And the shop is so clean. I cleaned it up the other day all by my lonesome, since no one can ever show up to help. And I just did it myself. Sometimes in life you just gotta do things your damn self. I need to clean up this bench really bad though. So yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. Expect in the next video to see this thing probably ripping around and having fun. We're gonna rock the cracked windshield for the time being. Like I said, don't really care what anyone thinks. I'm not gonna put a brand new windshield in this car and then spray the car and then risk, you know, the gasket getting paint on it. I think that looks like dog shit. My truck is a living example of that. I think when people get overspray on their rubber gaskets, it looks like shit. It ruins the car. And I'm guilty of that. My truck is that exact issue. But that thing I've been learning with for years. I would love to properly go through all the bodywork again and just completely repaint that truck like a metallic color, which I know that sounds kind of crazy since I literally just did all that. But you learn something new every day. So it is what it is, guys. But with that being said, I think that's gonna be the end of this video. Sorry if it was too much talking, not enough doing, but I just wanted to put that out there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.